Before arriving in El Transito, Nicaragua, I hadn't planned to paint this mural. But after feeling so inspired by the place, I felt I had to reflect that back into something that I could leave behind. This is the story of how I painted a mural in a little fishing village in Nicaragua, the challenges I had to overcome, and how it came to life. At the end of January, my girlfriend Caroline and I ditched snowy Montreal and got away to a tiny fishing village on the western coast of Nicaragua. We went from -30 to +30 Celsius and exchanged our snow boots and parkas for flip-flops and tank tops. Traveling with nothing but a small backpack, I was limited in what art supplies I could bring with me, so I did a lot of watercolors, a medium I hadn't explored much since being a kid. After about a week, I had put together a pretty decent stack of drawings, many of which were inspired by what I had seen going on around me since arriving. I had my first mural painting experience while traveling a couple of years ago in Mexico, and it left such an impression on me that I felt inspired to try something similar here. Drawings in hand, I cold called the old-fashioned way, and went door to door, asking if I could speak to an owner or manager to see if they'd be interested in having one of my designs painted large on their wall. Everyone was very kind and receptive, and I feel grateful to all the people that I met and spoke to, who took the time to listen to what I had to say, and took a keen and curious look through the samples I had brought along with me. Later that evening, I received a positive response back from a cafe and surf shop just up the beach from where I was staying, and the owners invited me by for coffee the next day to discuss logistics. Things moved quickly, and we were set to commence a couple days after our initial meeting. We had originally planned to paint one of the walls on the inside of their courtyard, but due to some considerations around preserving the cacti that were already growing there, we decided to change directions at the last minute and go for a wall on the outside of the building. The wall had been painted a few years before, so we assumed a quick clean would be enough. But as soon as I started rolling, the paint began peeling off in certain areas. I realized we'd have to scrape everything back and start again with primer, except the nearest paint shop was hours away and I was leaving in days. Somehow, through friends of friends, a gallon of primer arrived the next evening. Crisis averted. The design we landed on was inspired by the people I had seen on my very first morning after arriving in El Transito. As the sun was rising, the fishermen were bringing their boats back ashore, and to do so, they would roll them over big logs with 6 or so guys heaving it forward. For me, it represents a sense of place and the people living here. There's a certain simplicity, the simple way of getting the boat to shore over logs. No fancy technology or modern methods. In some ways, there's a parallel that can be drawn between my process of painting the mural. Living in a city, certain conveniences can be taken for granted, like having a paint store nearby. Not having such conveniences can push your creativity, ingenuity, and resourcefulness. It also makes you rely on others more around you, and can foster community. The mural took shape quickly thanks to Caroline coming and helping me fill in the big blocks of color after I'd marked things out. Then the last couple of days I spent on my own, though I had my audiobook to keep me company. This mural I was listening to David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. It's one that my mum recommended I read. The days in Nicaragua are hot, so I had to plan accordingly and take a pause during the midday heat, which, to be honest, was a great excuse to go surf and play in the ocean. The mural location was right off the beach. I could literally see the waves crashing from where I was painting. Most days when I would stop working, I would cool off by going and jumping into the ocean. And every evening I got to walk back to my hostel along the beach as the sun was setting. I feel overwhelmed with gratitude for the experience I had while painting this mural. The whole while I was painting, Dan and Marlena, the owners of the cafe, kept Caroline and I well nourished with delicious food and iced coffee. Beyond the painting, I was moved by the story of Dan and Marlena, who left stable jobs in Austria 10 years ago to pursue their idyllic lifestyle by the beach and to surf every day. I'm curious to see how people find a way to live out their dreams and have their lifestyles aligned with what they truly value. This trip and this experience allowed me to do a little of that myself.